Chaka chaka. What's up? What's up? Give me a second. Just getting things set up. What's up? What's up? All right. So, was having a conversation earlier, and there's some things that I think need to be brought to the forefront so that we get a better understanding of where the opportunities are in all fields. So instead of, like I said, no doom and gloom narratives, right now we're in a real good position to take advantage of a shift in the entire economy. And it's, as I was traveling today, this afternoon, after the earlier live stream, I was doing some extra reading and some more information fell into my lap where it really signifies the shift has come. There's a video. Let me see if I can find it, of an actor who's talking about where everything's going to be as far as AI, what it can and can't do, and what it will or won't change. Let me see if I have it in my Twitter, and let me see if I can post it. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can find it, because I just saw it on Twitter, and I know if he's saying this, there's going to be even more people. Here we go. Boom. Share. Got it. Can I send it to myself? Pause. Paste. Boom. Let's do this. And share with. Yes. Do. Come on, right over here. Share to device. Here we go. It's Ben Affleck. Let me see. So let's just get into the meat of what he's talking about. What he just said. He said that him and another financial person made clones of themselves already. And he's asking this actor, what do you feel is the ramifications of people like us being able to now do this thing that you're doing? What do you think is going to happen? And this is what Ben has to say. And that's true. Right now, what he's saying is true, that AI is not ready to be able to be utilized to do everything that happens within a scene, for certain takes to happen, for certain emotions to be expressed to people that have a history of watching plays and feeling the actual feelings from a performance. It's not the same as, hey, I have an AI and my AI can perform. It's whether or not the AI can generate the sentimentality and the nuances of an actual performance, whether it be a Broadway show, whether it be a movie. And he says, kind of similar to what I'm saying for next year and maybe even the year after, why there's still nothing on the table to be worried about as far as in certain creative spaces, AI cannot take certain positions. So this is one of the biggest problems, which I've seen with some of the AI videos that I've done doing the music video, where I'm I give you the shot that I want. I'm telling you exactly what I'm looking for in the scene, and something is off kilter. Something's looking crazy. I got a crazy eye going to the left, to the left. Why is that eye going to the left when you're looking to the right? So, or weird things going on with a hand or an arm or a disappearing limb. All of these things will be fixed in time, and this is the worst most AI is going to be. But there is some truth to the notion that right now, for the next 2 years or so, we'll see. But within the next 2 years, we're not going to see AI take over the 100% creation flow of media. We're going to see little things start to break down. We'll see things where it'll be used for special effects and blowing up stuff. Check, check. The audio's not playing right at this point. All right, so I don't know whether or not it's playing or not. I can hear the audio. So what we're dealing with is spend. So you notice what he said. What we're seeing is what we're going to end up having to do is make more shows because the cost of everything is going to go down. We're going to be laying off more people. There's not going to take 1,000 people to do one show, one for a season. What we're going to do is reduce the amount of staffing necessary to do a show. And because we've cut costs down for special effects and all this other stuff that used to need teams and rendering hours to deal with, now those things go away. And what will end up happening is you'll be able to roll out more shows. So rather than doing, say, a 10 episode season or a 12 episode season, they might be like certain animes and they might be doing a 24 episode season. So instead of 12 episodes or 10 episodes, you're looking at 24 episodes. And some animes do that. Now, whether or not that's going to be where everything heads, I don't know. Because if we go back to what MG says, right, where he says it's going to be who gives a F at the end of the day. Who gives a damn? The who gives a damn is who wants to be entertained. So are you going to get rid of narrative? Because now you have to compete. Think about the music industry. And this is I was talking to MG earlier, and it kind of hit home as to the directive. If you go back in time and you remember how certain media was playing, or if you were a producer or a graphic designer, because the graphic arts kind of got destroyed before the music got destroyed before now video is on its way out the door. So before, when I first came into my field of design, when I got into the design field, I was using Photoshop. But if you were dealing with people who were coming out of the Art Institute, which is where I wanted to go, but I didn't want to pay $100,000 to go there. Because I figured, hell, if I have a portfolio, at the end of me going to school is for me to get a portfolio. And for that portfolio, if I use that portfolio, that's supposed to get me a job. So as long as I'm walking in with a portfolio, who cares? So if I can print now, because there's a printing company everywhere, as long as I can print something, I can put it into a booklet. I can have plastic around it. And now you have my portfolio. I can walk into any office and show you my work as if I just came out of art school. That was how I leapfrogged past ever needing to go to college. Because I was like, why am I going to college to take on debt only for me to turn right back around, and the only thing I get out of school to get me a job is to have a portfolio? So I spent 4 years building a portfolio. No, not in school. No, I'll spend 3 years or 2 years working on a portfolio to then be able to jump right into a job, which is what I did. That's how I got my first major job. So when I see a change in the industry, the same thing that happened with music. With music, it was very fast. It went from, oh shoot, you can go on Napster, and you can be on Napster. At the same point that Napster, and I was able to take an MP3. So now their only claim to fame as a business, if you look at the music as an industry, the only thing that the industry had was vinyl, which they can control the manufacture and distribution, and tape, which they could control the manufacture and distribution, until Panasonic gave us those dual decks that we could then make our own copies back and forth. And then you started seeing things through Tascam to get a 4-track, so you could actually use tape and split it, and you can make a 4-track out of regular tape. You just have to go buy premium tape back in the day. Why I'm bringing this to you is because as you look at AI, I want you to also see the transition and the depreciation of the value of the work as far as what you're going to get paid. Because from Photoshop, which used to be $150, $150,000 a year. That industry, that job, me having Photoshop on a resume was $150K. Because I didn't have a degree, it means I could get anywhere between 50 something being hired, 50 something to 75 something thousand with no education and a limited background. And that's exactly what I did. I got into my first job as a temp, which is another way you hustle in. Hustle in through a temp agency. And then through that temp agency, now, once you get hired, it's you outpacing and outworking everybody else there to determine whether or not you can stay in the door. And why I talk about that as far as getting jobs is that the things that I'm rolling out through Toxic Hustle is about taking skill sets that are coming and finding value with them, not only where you can make your own product, sell your own product. That's great. We all still need some type of job to be able to take your worth, your time, to put it forth to have a catalog of work that you can do, i.e. the automation. Because what's happened to music was music no longer had a distribution outlet. Like Photoshop changed what's going on with design, and how in music now, no vinyl, no CD, right? We're not using CDs or DVDs. We're not using any hardware other than our phones and AirPods or earbuds to be able to listen to music that used to have a secondary device. You used to have a phone in your pocket or a beeper in your pocket, and you had a secondary device, whether it be a disc player, whether it be a Walkman, or whether it be your MP3 player / your iTunes player. Yes, blank tapes created an underground industry. Even CDs, even if you go back in time, go back to PlayStation 1 when you had mod chips and you could modify your PlayStation. And then you could go to Blockbuster and you could go buy rent a game from Blockbuster, bring it home, put it on your burner, burn that ish because you have a DVD-R, the DVD-R, it was -R. As long as you had the DVD -R, you were able to burn any PlayStation game you wanted. So people were buying mod chips online, modifying their PlayStations themselves, or bringing it down to the corner computer store that also had the modifications for the PlayStations for $50 to $100. So even back then, that was when you can go online, download through LimeWire some type of DVD, burn that to disc, and you could be on the street selling that. So there was still a business in physicality because we're still watching hardware with hardware. But the minute we went to software, everything in our industry changed because all industries were based off hardware. I got to sell you a speaker. I got to sell you some type of CD player, CD changer. Remember CD changers, the 10 disc, 20 disc, 100 disc CD changers? Where did it all go? Poof. Because you can get a 12 terabyte hard drive for a couple $100 now and have damn near infinite storage. And they're not, this industry, this situation that they've set up, this situationship is going to go belly up for how it works in the current iteration. You should not be commuting to a computer to work. Makes no sense. That's a loss of time and money. And in an industry that's already riddled with ridiculous spending, the easiest way to cut back, and yes, I know remote doesn't work for all businesses or all people because not everybody takes the time that they're alone serious enough to treat every time like a business. So one of the things I was talking to MG about, I said, yo, when I got a job because of my resume, And the software, it was just about what software you put on there. So as long as you knew Photoshop, and any of the programs that Adobe was making had pretty much the same kind of key shortcuts. And as long as you learned shortcuts, you could get by. And as long as you knew Photoshop, well, and if you had Dreamweaver, you could bring in your Photoshop file cut up, and then you could do stuff with that, like put it with a PHP engine or ASP engine or JSP engine or Cold Fusion back in the day. And you could make yourself an application. But we're going into an era where applications will also, just like media, be done at scale. People will create their own timelines. And that's one of the things he brings up here. And what he's saying there, if you're looking at where media is going to head to, if you're looking at the fact that media goes into a zone where it's personalized consumption, and this is one of the reasons why I also talk about personalization when it comes to goods and products, because personalization is going to be the next wave. Let's just look at the next 4 years. If the orange man increases tariffs, it makes exports more expensive to be in the United States, giving any United States products a swing to the upside to saying, hey, we don't have to try to lower our prices to keep competing because now you're competing to be in our zone. We're not exporting any goods. We're majoritarily importing everything. So for him to raise tariffs, it gives us internally what's the word I'm looking for? It gives us even ground. It gives us even ground for all of us to be competitive at the same level. Because what happens when you have inflation, you're inflating the dollar supply. You're debasing our dollar. So what you're doing is, so you can import Rome. Since you want to import everything into your country, into your zone, means you have to give up being in the age of creating anything. You can't be manufacturing. Hence, for the rest of the world, they said, hey, we'll lower our prices. And it's basically S labor. The video's not playing right now, so you can see everybody's paused. The video's not playing. When I play it, I'll hit it for a second and I'll stop and I'll just talk over it. But I'm not talking with it or talking over it, because then you can't hear nothing. It'll be a jumbled mass of junk. But if you can see, he has his hands not moving. So they're paused right now. All right, so what we're going to be looking at over the next, I want to say 3 to 5 years, we're looking at a transition for when financially, at least while Orange Man is in office, we're looking at a financial push for localized products to be created, which means print on demand. It means certain drop shipping, as long as the manufacturer is done in the United States. And so as our products to leave the United States may be at a higher price point, what we're going to be able to manufacture, especially if we're looking at potentially, not saying this is going to happen, I'm just saying if these companies don't allow this to happen, the ones that do allow this to happen are going to destroy all the legacy intellectual property owners on the planet. NFTs, and I'm saying it, was the dumbest shite to ever hit the market. It was the dumbest crap to ever hit the market, but there is a reason for it to be. If I own royalties on some type of asset, whether it be music, a media, a piece of media, whether it be a movie, whether it be characters. What if I could license the usage of their likeness in a indiscriminate way that earns value over time? See, a lot of crypto makes absolutely no sense because it has no real world utility. Just like the internet didn't. And I was there to watch when it was just a playground of cat gifs and weirdos doing weirdo stuff with puppets. And that was the majority of the videos, cat videos and just people acting loony. And over time, we've corporatized it. But what the internet was for quite some time, there was no value. Nobody had a significant value. Google brought the first runs of having something that could be considered value during when they had to earn earnings, and then it was all of our users and how much users we have per month and blah, 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 blah. And then the same thing changes with when they make acquisitions. So we did this acquisition, we're expecting blah, 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 blah. Same thing with Amazon. Amazon was just closed. Now Amazon's doing Amazon Web Services, and has GPUs. So now Amazon's also renting out GPU render power. I cannot hear it. Check. Check, check, check. Is that better? Check, check. Hopefully that's better. I had it reboot the audio. Not sure if there's anything else that I can do to make it not be so choppy. All right, so I lost my train of thought of where I was. Revenue. Being able to create characters. Being able to create characters. And all right, so the opportunity for NFTs, and really I won't say NFTs, but non-fungible assets in general. The digitization of assets. If you could treat assets or intellectual property as stock. So, for instance, let's say somebody creates a manga or the writer creates a light novel. The light novel somebody wants to do the webtoon. So the light novel person can issue certain amounts of capitalization for that person to be able to come on board and have some stake into being able to pay that money can pay for getting somebody involved to do that thing, or in the future some software getting involved to be able to help do the characterizations, to be able to and let me show you what that means. Hold on. So there are things in AI called LoRa's. LoRa's themselves, so character sheets. When I said earlier today that there are ways to be able to create a character sheet of your character, and in being able to have this consistent character over time, we could then be able to create a manga based off of this. You'd be able to then have all the parts to make your anime. So, because you're pre-thinking all the steps. You're like, hey, if this light novel is doing well enough to be able to get the storyboards, which is the webtoons, or the storyboards, which is being able to have it go from webtoon to manga, which now you have the basic story is right there in front of you to be able to use that as a storyboard for the animation portion. Now you're going to be doing colorization, which should be able to be sped up by the use of of AI. The creation of consistent characters as this gets better, because this is not Midjourney. This is everything open source that's going to be available within the next few months to rival anything that these companies can do. Because the way LoRa's work, the way certain models work, like Pony, where you can then add more LoRa's and get these crazy artistic designs off of trained characters. So I can take a character from a character sheet, get multiple generations, get everything to be uniquely good and consistent. So get all the designs consistent, bring it into Photoshop, make sure every line is consistent so that it goes across the board. I can have multiple characters, and for the most part, whatever they're wearing is the way it should be. Once I now have critiqued it, I do a model trained on this particular character wearing these particular styles or this particular style. And whenever I call that character's name via these trigger words, I'm able to now pull that design out, use that LoRa, and have that consistent character be used over and over again. And now I can put them in any scene I want. And then I can train my town, train the city that my characters are in. So this way, if I've trained the city that they're in, the town that they're in, similar to how they did the South Park episodes with AI, this is the same ideal. What we're now needing to do is say, okay, I'm going to be not just a producer, just like with graphic design, I was shitted on because I was not a traditional designer. I'm using Photoshop. Then when I became a producer and I'm using Reason and I'm using, and I had an MPC 2000 XL with a SCSI. So to be able to get to the next level, sometimes you've got to use the tools at your disposal that help you scale up the workload. A beat on a MPC 2000 XL was 10 hours. A beat, when I got into FL Studio and used it for my first album, only took me for some of the beats, only took like maybe 2 hours, maybe 3 if I wanted to be specific with some effect or have some reverse thing going on or doing some other styled effect to my my music. But other than that, it wasn't taking me 8 hours to make one beat. And then I could still do the mixing inside FL Studio, which I was doing at the time. I did all my mixing and mastering at the time inside there before I moved to Studio One. But what we're going to see is more and more tools allow you to be able to create characters and allow you to be able to create scenes and your sets so that when you want to animate it in the future, you'll be able to create these scenes and sets and posable characters based off of your training model, and your training model will then be posed into the scene the way you want, because they have active poser software. So you can actually pose the character to be in a Spider-Man swing and have exactly the way you want it, rather than AI being rolling the dice. So you can position characters, have them be where they need to be, wearing the things you want to wear, having the consistency you need them to have, and in the future with things like Voice Lab, where you can create your own special character. Now, what happens when this open sources? What happens when everybody can now not only create their own scenes, create their own consistent characters, those characters have their own voice, you can create your own music, either by doing the production yourself or getting the idea for what you want for it to be generated by Suno or Udio. This is the future of media, where you're putting together the entire scene and premise. Then, once you now have your design, once you now have everything else that you need for your character, you can now take those characters and put them on products, print on demand, and get those released to the general public for sale. You can also have something like I said, NFTs in their first phase made no sense because it wasn't attached to any real world asset. What happens when you take the idea of not a JPEG, that you get a JPEG? The JPEG just means you have ownership, and your wallet has these particular contracts associated with it, and it just has an image, just has an icon. But the programming language that says that you not only receive dividends from the usage of the intellectual property in a consistent way, but you also get access to see the books, because all of the digital information for how the manga, comic, the asset characters of this whole asset class is being classified. Now it's not a token for a shitcoin that does absolutely nothing. It's a token for a collective of a collection of collectives, that you have writers, you have video game people who are trying to use stuff with the assets. You've got all these people who have an invested interest to see every portion of the assets be used for these things to move forward into other, to generate revenue or to be able to get visibility because it's entertaining. Again, what happens when your comedian who's not big and not known yet, that you can invest in that individual becoming more successful? That's what nobody's taking with this digital revolution. This next wave is the wave in which person-to-person investment begins. That's all this whole crypto thing was, is that anybody could spin up a crap coin, and that crap coin could do absolutely nothing but promise you the world. But everything in crypto is highly too expensive. Ask Ethereum. It's an expensive database to hold some code. That doesn't make sense when Amazon is $5. So when we can start writing applications, putting them on, network, get them available network-wise, whether it be hooking it to a domain or linking it to an IP address, however it needs to happen. But it's not really whether or not this code is hosted online. It's whether or not we can send the transactions back to a ledger, so that every digital transaction that's happening, every person that's buying a license to the artwork to be able to be used in a t-shirt design that goes out. So now then you're building you're able to utilize art as a way to have some type of intellectual property. We lost it when IP became internet protocol rather than intellectual property. Even though we're using all these other names that claim that it should be property, right? You have a domain name, like Lord of your domain, like physicality. We have an IP address, an address like a home address. So we have a domain that sits at an address. It's a home, which is why we call it a home page. So if we're going to deal with it, we need to deal with everything in a digital capacity as intellectual property. Because data, your mind is the new oil. Your actions are the new oil. What they want, and you'll notice in your privacy settings on your phones, what you're going to have to start doing is turning off them having any of your voice data and all of your tracking and location data. That's going to be something that people have to pay for soon. These big companies have been getting it for free because they basically made a phone device or gave everybody spyware and just called it a phone. Even Steve Jobs refused to have his own children use any of the devices he created. That's where we're heading to. We're heading into a world where everything is automated and transactions are for computer to computer, not human to human to human. It's going to be how many machines you have online earning you revenue. And when I mean by machines, it could be how many domains that you've hooked up to Shopify to be able to sell something. How many accounts do you have at Etsy to be able to offload digital designs or do customizations? How many domains, .coms that you have attached to some AI system as a service that does some type of work for some customer of yours who pays you a licensing fee every month of anywhere between $1,200 to $2,500 a month. What people are not watching for is you're not watching for when somebody became a property manager by simply managing people's social media profiles. They are a property manager. That's no different than a property manager that manages your real estate. We just have digital real estate now. So when I say we all need to change our mind state, we all need to change up what we're thinking about. We need to change up the fact that everything that we've seen physical has gone digital, and we haven't changed our mind to adjust to that shift. It's like being in a Mandela effect, but you're the only one that just can't accept the Mandela happened. The world shifted. Anything that's analog sucks donkey balls. The change now is to be able to transition over to this new means of earning, which is, hey, I have to start thinking at scale, so where my products make cash flow for me. Me doing automated service work for clientele is generating assets or passive income for me. It's not passive, it's active passive, because you have to monitor and maintain their automations for them. This is part of what's going to be in the package that comes out Black Friday. Is us setting up automations and then getting you into a position where you're comfortable having a gallery of work that then you can go out there and put that on your resume. And whether or not you get a job from it or whether or not you get a client from it is just language. It's just how you approach your sales. Does your web page look like do you have a web page? And if they go to your web page, does your web page look like you're just coming out of school and you're just learning something? Or is your web page adjusted and looks the part of being somebody that can help a business be able to automate the distribution of their media across multiple channels. Are you a broadcast agent? And that's where we're heading into, digital broadcast agency. How many people, clients, can you take on that need help getting their message out? They may have their own AI, maybe not right now. Maybe that's something you do. Do you know how to train models for your client using GPTs from ChatGPT, or being able to set up a computer that you can install an open source one because your client may not have the means to do so? But can you do that on your own machine so that it's repeatable, that now you can say to your client, hey, if you want me to be able to do this, you need to make sure that you give me a PC that has a desktop PC that has a minimum of 16 gigabytes of VRAM, virtual RAM. Before, we would talk about how much RAM is on your computer. Now you've got to think about how much video RAM that system has to be able to run algorithms. And what happens when localized installation, what we saw with Ethereum mining, what happens when companies begin to GPU farm to have a local instance of some type of AI inside their business to handle the days to day? We're getting there. We're really, really close. I'm running AI on my laptop. I'm getting graphics that are comparable to Midjourney. The cartoon characters look just as good as ChatGPT, if not better. And I'm working those characters into AI. Into physical medium. Actually, no, it's tragic. Boom. This was the beginning. So 4 months ago, so in a short amount of time, 4 months ago, this was stock footage mixed with still shots from Midjourney to having some scenes, only 2 or 3 scenes being generated with AI. This one is 100% image to video. So if you go to youtube.com @tragic and you see this first video here, the latest, nobody's fault but mine, that is 100% image to video. And this is from 3 months ago. So it's way better at what it does now. This is what I've been preparing for. What happens when you can take any character you want and begin to animate storylines? You don't have to actually be saying something in real time if you know how to tell a story. Check, check. Check, check. So when you're dealing with what's going on with media, music, video, it is what's your catalog, or like they say, what's in your wallet. It's what is your catalog? What are you presenting? And it can't be just a one thing. Like, I can't just be a producer that makes beats, because I still need a rapper to get on it. I still need to get somebody to make the music video. I have to hope that as a producer, the rapper I give my beat to is actually going to make a music video. And if he doesn't, then you're if you're not even going to make a video out of it so that it can be heard by anybody. Plus, I even have to pray that you record. I have to pray that you even get on the microphone and do something. As a producer, I already realized as long as I can get a hook and as long as the melody is dope, I should be able to place it anywhere with any scene, and I should be able to find profitable exposure for my media assets. So I'm going to create the music. I'm going to take that music and I'm going to put it to video. I'm going to bring that video and put it out. I'm going to have a story that makes you maybe begin to feel something. And this is the first one in trying to get an emotion out. Can I make the girl look sad? Can I get her to cry? Can I have her look happy? Do they look like the same person scene after scene after scene? How much time did it take? 1 week to make a music video with me in the video and having to render 3D scenes and render some of my old music videos. Those things would take 3 months, 2 months to be able to do all the work. And that was every single night, working night after night after work to be able to get this video out. And I spent 3 months and I've only got one music video done. We're talking about you could take your entire beat CD and theme it. Think of it as in looking at the CDs that were the enhanced CDs, that when you placed it inside the computer, it did other things. You know, it could play a music video, you could attach files. So it's basically, it was a DVD or a CD that had some files that had a hidden compartment to be able to play some real video or some other animated stuff with some sound attached to it. And that's what we're gonna have to do to be entertaining to people that don't spend any time really listening to music. You're gonna have to give them a bigger reason to listen to music than here's my music. You're gonna have to give everybody on the planet more reason. Which, how do I make you more invested? I spend more time on the visualization so I can tell a story visually to you. How do I get that done? What does that look like? Can that be done with AI? These are the questions I asked. The workflow I created, which will also be a part of the system that rolls out, is being able to generate music videos. And then be able to utilize these new engines, or the new engine, because I'm only really using one because it has everything that I need, and you get unlimited if you pay for the higher end of it. But as long as I got unlimited renders, I really don't care. I want to be able to render. But with facial recognition and being able to be used for voice acting, all that being able to be done in there, from image to video, getting better as far as camera movements and body movement and being able to give certain moods or certain effects, special effects being able to be rendered in not real time, but in a shorter amount of time than you going into some 3D engine to try to figure out how to make an explosion effect. This changes how we work and how we create and how we be creative. to now what happens when you can do what Cosby did with the Fat Albert gang. What happens when you can tell a story about something that you brought out of your ethos, or you know somebody or a friend of yours that has a really dope story that you think could become a series. This is what's going to lead down to more and more people being able to get their information, their storylines, their ideas to market. Because before it was just an idea. Now you can kind of see what it would look like. Have a pretty good demo of the idea and not spend tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of hours trying to get there when you can get there faster by prototyping it with AI. It's coming. Pause. But it's getting late. I know some of y'all got to get up to work, but I wanted to at least just bring to your attention certain things that came to mind after my earlier video. And that was what we're about to see, the changes that are about to happen. There's nothing for us to be worried about. This transition is necessary because there's been too much bloat. There's like all of these businesses are like a big-headed baby with small feet. They're too top heavy and they're tipping over and they're falling over the weight of their own heads. Pause. Now, with these new tools that we have at our disposal, if we learn how to use these weapons well, we're going to be able to get to market way faster. Just like how if you began to use a PC and was all in the box, it sped up you creating more content faster than you working on hardware and having to bring it in, then still having to mix and master. Like me, I work in one piece of software and I mix and master everything with it. When I got into that workflow, it changed how I work. The same thing is happening with art, where my art and my designs used to take 8 to 10 hours to do one image in Photoshop because of all the airbrushing and prep work I had to do. Now, I don't have to do that. Now, it doesn't take that long. Now, I can have entire scenes in a fourth of the time that it took me to do one. So just realize the transition that's on its way now is just that you're going to be able to be the media company. You're going to have to handle distribution, and automation is going to get you there. Automating that process. All of these networks, these social networks, start thinking of them like TV networks, and start thinking in your mind of treating them as such. Stop treating YouTube like it's just YouTube, or it's the second search engine, the largest search engine in the world. It's the second one. Stop thinking of it like that and think of it like HBO, NBC, CBS. Think of it like Netflix. What if everything that you're putting on there, it's damn near Netflix in 2 to 3 more years? When it finally goes critical mass as a media center, not just a place we upload videos and it used to be just cat videos. It is a place where you can have cartoons and have millions of people not only watch those shows but buy your products. That you can sit there and get an episode, a show all the way released, and you can go consult other people and they can pay you money for consultation to help you get them up and running. Hello, I do that. So that's why I want to begin to show how this is done, show how you grow it out, how you begin to broadcast to multiple channels, and the headaches that you'll bump across along the way. So, Black Friday, we're releasing the first version of the intro to marketing promotion, to blueprints for automation, for AI prompt engineering, and then we'll work into taking those prompts, creating music videos. You'll be able to get access to an AI that I've kind of finalized that allows you can, if you have a chat GPT, it will allow you. I have a GPT that you can use to be able to draft out your stories, to then hand the script over to a video engineer, and that video person is the video director is going to take your script and actually break it out, and you just tell it how long that the song is, or how long the shot is, a commercial for 60 seconds, what have you, or if it's a 30-second run, it will give you the prompts to be able to pass that over to Midjourney or any generated AI image generator, and you can take that, then bring it into the video, the image to video generator that we're using, and you can generate your video, piece it together with the software we talk about, and get products done, get projects out. And not only can you do that, think about what that looks like for you as somebody that can do a music video for an artist and get paid to do a animated music video, where you can kind of take their likeness and begin to create characters based off of how they look. That's one of the things we'll have inside the course. Just look for it Black Friday. We'll roll that out. These are going to be it's just the beginning. The purchase, it's going to be something that I keep adding on all the way through spring, because by then, for the summer, you're going to be able to do a bunch of work for yourself and or for clients and make back everything that you pay on it, which again, right now will be $49.99. By March, it's going to be up to $129.99, or excuse me, $199.99. But that's all the way towards when we get closer to March, because I'm going to start limiting how many people have this, because I want to focus on people being successful with it up front. So the people that are buying it and using it, I want to make sure that I'm able to help you and generate the stuff that you need for it and building out the course as we go. I'll be taking all of your questions. We're going to have webinars, private webinars, so that I can help you and show you and or build out automations that the entire community will need to do their business. And it depends on what that business is, but we're focusing on media to be a broadcaster. So whether or not you're doing it and being the personality yourself, or we'll even do some of the faceless YouTube's, faceless TikTok challenges to be able to get a faceless channel up and running, and what that looks like, and then getting it up to being monetized and how you get that done, not just on TikTok, but also how to do that with YouTube. So again, just look for everything to come out this Friday. Thank y'all for spending this Sunday with me. I'm gonna holla at y'all probably in about 2 or 3 days, because I got a bunch of work to get ready for Friday. So I'll holla at y'all. Love and peace. Safe.